All right, there it is. The trophy has been presented. Mike Vaught doing the honors for Advocare. And Kevin Harvick takes home his second Advocare trophy from Phoenix International Raceway. And with that being said, the celebration will continue here in Gatorade Victory Lane. We'll send it back upstairs to Dean Strom.
Here are your clinch scenarios for Jimmie Johnson. He needs to finish 23rd or better, 24th or better if he leads one lap, 25th or better if he leads the most laps.
All right, we'll get started with our post-race media availability here at Phoenix International Raceway following the Advocare 500. We welcome Kasey Kahne, driver of the number 5 Farmers Insurance Chevrolet, who finished second in today's race here at Phoenix. Pretty exciting race out there. Talk a little bit about your finish here today.
Yeah, I felt pretty good. Had a lot better car, a lot more grip today than what I had yesterday in practice, and so I thank the guys, Kenny and Keith, and they came up with some good stuff for today. And we were close, with our Farmers Insurance car, and we were on a little bit longer strategy. We stayed out longer, so the tires, our tires were. Harvick was on a lot fresher tires, I guess. He was able to stay out longer and came out there at the end and was pretty quick on that restart. Got by us. So I couldn't hang with him, but I thought we definitely had a solid, second, third place car. Carl short pitted. That's how he got so far out front. But it was interesting. The strategy is plays such a big factor here. You have half the field doing one thing and half the field doing the other, and then everybody's pitting 5-6 laps difference on those strategies as well. So it's kind of a crazy race, but worked out pretty good, and I thought the track got a little bit better as it went. We just keep hoping we can get a little bit softer tires so we can move around a little more.
Okay, we'll open up for questions for Kasey. Please raise your hand. We'll get a wireless mic to you. We'll start right here up front.
Thank you. Kasey Kahne, Popular Speed. It's definitely been an up and down season for you, but over the past couple of races, you've had a couple solid top fives. Over the course of the season, has there been any point where you begin to wonder, if things were going to get better? Like, did you lose any confidence during that?
I think you lose a little confidence. I get down once in a while and feel pretty bad about what's going on. And I thought, we've had a lot of things happen to us this year, but we battled back the last 2 weeks. We ran pretty good, 5th and 2nd, and so I'm happy about that. We'll try to finish off strong at Homestead with another top 5, and maybe prepare a little better for next year, and just try to have a more consistent, stronger year from start to finish. Thanks.
Joining Kasey, Jimmie Johnson, driver of the number 48 Lowe's Cobalt Tools Chevrolet, who finished third in today's Advocare 500. Currently our points leader heading into the season finale next weekend in Homestead. Jimmie, talk a little bit about your battle out there today and setting up the stage for the season finale next week.
The race was challenging. I mean, everybody says it's a short event here, but man, it seemed like it took 600 miles worth of time to get through this race. We had a very strong race car, so that made life a lot easier, especially comparing this effort to last year's effort in the chase. And we did what we should have. I felt like yesterday we had a race-winning car, and today seemed to be like a second to third place car. So I hate that we missed it a little bit there, but still, all in all, a very, very strong performance for us. And we're heading to Homestead in the position we want to be in. So we'll have to go down there and run 400 miles. It's far from over. You've got to finish that race, and although we have a nice cushion, we still have to go down there and take care of business.
Okay, we'll take our next question here in the middle from Lewis, and then go back to the middle from Kenny.
All right, Lewis Frank of Speed Week. Jimmie, yeah. Lewis Frank, Speed Week. Sorry to interrupt. At any time in those 2 incidents today, for the tiniest fraction of a second, did you think this is it, or were you too busy driving, correcting?
The one with the 22 didn't worry me too much. I felt like I had enough room, and then the way the car was sliding to save it. But the one with the 99, I thought 2 different points as I saved it, the car pointed back at the fence, and I thought I was going to hit it. So thankful that that didn't happen. Clearly, certainly worried me, and then we were mired in traffic after that, and I didn't know what that was going to mean for us. And we were in a nice position strategy-wise, but there was a caution, and they missed some oil off of turn 4, and that drug on the laps under caution and put everybody into the same fuel strategy. So I was starting to get worried at that point in time, but it seemed shortly thereafter we left pit road and the 20 was behind me again. They came down pit road, and then I felt like I knew where I was. I knew how I could manage things, and it was about trying to get points then. And we found our way all up to third.
Okay, we'll take our next question in the middle from Kenny, then go back to Tom and come up front to Michael.
Kenny Bruce from NASCAR.com. Jimmy, mentioning those earlier incidents, and then we saw Matt. I mean, he struggled with his car all day. Then they had issues on pit road. Does a race like today just stress how on your game you have to be in these races? That everybody talked about. You had such a dominating run last week, and it's not going to be much of a chase. Does it just kind of say, look, these things aren't over, that anything can happen? Yeah,
I mean, everybody is so eager to predict the champion, but you've got to play the game, you've got to run the race, and stuff happens. There's so many variables in one of our races. I think more variables than any pro sport out there. We have all 43 teams playing, driving, racing, all the mechanical components on the race car, pit stops, other issues on other cars that could take you out, tires. There's a lot of variables, so we don't take any of these weekends lightly. Even with a nice points lead, I'm not going to take next weekend any differently. There's still a lot of pressure to get the job done, and it's no layup at all. So, but I sympathize with Matt. We were in that position last year, and we went to Homestead and still had a shot and put a lot of pressure on the two, and then we made mistakes again that took us out of it last year.
Okay, we'll take our next question from Tom in the back.
Hi, Tom Jensen, FoxSports.com. Jimmy, you've been through these wars.
Anybody have anything else for Kasey?
Thanks, Jimmy. Appreciate it.
See you, buddy.
You've been through these wars, 7, 8, 10 times now in these chases. Were you surprised at how poorly the 20 ran all day? Because they just weren't there all day. Were you surprised by that?
Yes, surprised, and then at the same time, I went through it last year. So, I don't know how to quite describe it, but it can happen. I thought that yesterday in the final practice session, they made a nice run, and I thought that they got themselves in the, where they needed to be. But clearly today that wasn't the case. When the 11 was leading early, I thought that might mean good things for the 20. And I never really saw the 18, and that was another marker to me that the 20 was not having the best of days, and both of his teammates were running, slipping back.
Take our next question up front from Michael, right behind you.
Hi, Jimmy. Michael Knight from the Arizona Republic. Back in the garage area, Carl said that the last thing he wanted was to be in a position like that might have affected the championship. Do you accept that, just in the context of the overall racing environment, or just at that moment, what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, without a doubt. I know Carl very well, and I have a ton of respect for him and what he does on the racetrack. And the contact we had was unfortunate. Really not 3 lanes down there, and I was coming around the outside of him, and I guess 29 had a run on the inside. And once we all went to the brakes, we were all committed to 3 wide in there, and with little contact and all that stuff. So at the time, I was frustrated, happy I didn't crash, and was hopeful that didn't lose all that track position and really affect our performance. So there was some frustration initially, but deep down inside, I knew it wasn't an intentional situation. It was just a racing deal that didn't go our way.
Do we have any questions from the press box?
Yes, Nate Ryan, USA Today Sports. Jimmy, not to bring up bad memories, but your last 2 finishes at Homestead were 32nd and 36th. I know that was somewhat circumstantial, but how do you, given that and knowing you only need a 23rd or better, how do you approach next week at Homestead? Are you going there to win, or is it just more top 15, or what are you looking at?
Well, we're going to go down there and race as hard as we can. I think the safest place on the racetrack is up front. And if I look back to our Texas performance, we found a way to race smart, stay out of trouble, and still get the race won. So I would love to win the race and win the championship, but we'll just have to see how things develop in the race and where we are relative to the 20. The big prize at the end of the day is what we're focused on. It's not so much that individual win, but we need to go down there and be prepared and treat Friday and Saturday like we need to win the race so that we can make the cars comfortable and as fast as possible to give us all our options on Sunday.
Any additional questions? Okay. Any additional questions down here in the media center? Okay, we'll take one up front right here.
Hi, I'm Gabe Carmichael from Motor Racing. What about Kevin Harvick? He's closed up on the points too.
Yeah, he's done a good job winning some races. I think he's in third right now. If we have a hiccup, or some type of mistake in Homestead, it'll be a race between the 20 and the 29. But I feel like if we go down there and run as we should be able to take care of business.
Jimmie, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. We look forward to seeing you next week in Homestead.
Any chair? Any chair's a good chair? Okay. Thank you, sir. We're going to have to put him closer so he's here. Sick.
That's what in the middle of the race he said something. I said, he's sick.
You hear me say? Yeah, I heard that. Hey, you. I heard that.
We will go ahead and continue our post-race media availability. We welcome our winning race team and our race winner, Kevin Harvick, driver of the number 29 Budweiser Chevrolet. This is Kevin's 23rd victory in 465 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series races. His 4th win at PIR. This ties Jimmie Johnson for most wins in Cup races here, 9th all-time at Phoenix. 4th victory of 2013 and 4th victory again here at Phoenix. Talk a little bit about that race out there today.
Well, yeah, it's always fun to come to Phoenix, and we've been fortunate to have a lot of success here in all the divisions, and today was no different. We had a good car, and really from the time we unloaded, we qualified well, and were able to have 3 solid practices and a good qualifying session and a good race today. With the way that the strategy and everything worked out today, you had to play your cards right off the bat, and those guys got a little bit lucky with the way that the strategy worked out, but our car was fast enough to work through traffic and keep ourselves in contention, even with the guys that were on the other side of that strategy, and we're able to be there at the end. So everybody was just trying to put just enough gas in the cars to make it to the end, and our guys got it right, and the other guys were a little short.
Also joining us, I'll start with Richard. Everybody's phones are ringing up here. Also joining us, our crew chief, Gil Martin. Talk a little bit about the strategy. Obviously, a lot of folks saying that everyone was on pins and needles throughout the entire race, and it seemed to last forever. That's some of the comments we've heard today. Talk a little bit about your strategy and just how you prepared Kevin for this race going into today.
I mean, it was such a tough race because track position was everything, and then we took 2 tires several times. Last time we took left side tires was on lap 100. So 212 laps on the left side tires. That was pretty amazing for the car to be that fast and only have that many laps on the left sides. But we elected to come in and pit right there at I can't remember the lap number now, but we pitted early, came back to lap about 15th, and we knew at that point we were able to put 1 can of gas in at the end, and we wouldn't have to shuffle cans at the end. We knew that was going to cost us a couple of seconds shuffling cans under green. And as it turned out, you can just about gauge how much fuel you're putting in when you're emptying a can. You know about the amount of time instead of having to guess when you're shuffling cans, because the longer you sit there, the more you're wanting to send him quick because you know that you can't lose any time there.
Also up here with us, Richard Childress, owner of the 29 car. Talk a little bit about how it feels to be sitting here. Anything can happen in a race. I think we proved that today. Kevin is only 34 points behind Jimmie Johnson. Matt Kenseth is now just 28 points behind Jimmie Johnson. A lot of things got shuffled up here today. He is definitely a contender for this championship. Talk about how you're feeling today.
Yeah, we've been there, I think it's the 3rd time we've been going to Homestead with Kevin and a couple of times with Clint, having a chance to win the championship. And mathematically, you never give up till it's over. And for us to have a shot going in again this year, that's all you can ask. You'd ask to be out front like he is, but if you can't, we'll take this.
All right, we'll open it up for questions for our winning team. Please raise your hand. We'll get a mic to you. We'll start in the back with Tom.
Hi, guys. Congratulations, Tom Jensen. FoxSports.com. For any of you, is it harder to race a strategy race like this where there's so many ups and downs than just, maybe a normal 1.5-mile race where you're going to be wide open the whole way?
Well, I'll let him answer that question. I know for me, you just have to let it play out. You just have to sit in the car
give them the feedback, and just do the best that you can, because they can see a lot more than I can. So he can tell you the stressful part of it.
The stressful part of it is we had dinner last night, the engineers and I, and we were sitting there trying to go over all the scenarios, and no matter how many you go over, you don't never go over the one you needed, and that's the one today that we didn't really go over last night, about trying to make certain that how much fuel we were going to put in at the end on a green flag run. And that made such a huge difference, because when you're trying to time how much gas you're putting in by basically counting 1/1000 when the fuel can's plugged up, there's a lot of variables you have there. You've got a variable of, did the gas man get plugged up good enough? Did he get it completely plugged up? Is it flowing the right amount of gas? So we knew if we could time it out to where we were just emptying one can of gas, we know exactly how long that takes. And so we waited to pit till we got to that point, and then it worked out. But when you run a race like this, when the tires really aren't an advantage, it comes down to the driver tenacity in the car. It comes down to the fact of he has to give 100, not 100% like they've asked for. You have to give 110% every single lap, because if you let up even one lap, you lose too much time. A tenth of a second here is a long way, and he didn't do that today.
Okay, we'll take a question up front from Jim, then go up to the press box. Go ahead.
Jim Peltz, LA Times. Richard, you're standing right there when the 99 starts to slow down right in front of you. What went through your mind?
Well, I think I told him a couple of laps, or on that lap before, a couple of laps, that I thought the 99 was going to run out. I didn't think he had pitted. I came on one time and told Kevin that he was racing the 5 and 48 for the win. And then when I seen the 99 had pitted, I didn't think he could have got enough of fuel in it. So it was close. I knew that if he did, he wasn't going to have enough fuel left to jump off his car.
Okay, we'll go up to the press box for questions.
He wouldn't have made it back to start finish, is what I was going to say.
He's sick, so you just got to give him a little bit of slack here now.
Medication.
We'll take questions now from the press box. Go
Thanks,
ahead.
Chris. Nate Ryan, USA Today Sports. Kevin, last December in Vegas, you got asked how this final season with RCR would go, and you said it would probably be your best season yet. So now going into Homestead, you've got a chance, I mean, not just at maybe the championship, but to finish second in points. I'm upstairs.
Oh, okay.
I'm a disembodied voice from far away. I'm sorry it has to be like this. Can you just talk about that maybe this could be your best season at RCR, kind of like what you're expecting, and that despite all the circumstances, you could finish second in points and go out, on that kind of high with this team?
I think he'd probably sit here and tell you that, we've been good for each other because we challenge each other. I obviously handle a lot of situations wrong, but it pushes a lot of buttons to try to make things better. There's no better way to go out than to do what we've done this year. Obviously, we went to Martinsville, and I said things that I shouldn't have said, and put everybody in a position that was not good. But I think we had conversations about things after that probably made us closer as people, and I think as we move forward, will probably make us closer as friends. So it was a tough week to handle. But I think that some of the conversations that we had were good for all of us, and made us really understand just the fact that how successful we've been together and how successful we've been for each other, as RCR. And for me, it's great to be able to, I think that situation really put into perspective, just made you think about everything that we've been able to accomplish and the things that we've been through together. And it's more of a family conversation than it probably was a racing conversation. So for me, that was great as a person. You don't want to put yourself in those particular situations just for the fact that it makes you look dumb, first off. And just you want to go out on top.
Yeah, we committed to each other early in the year that we'd give 100%, and we have, and Kevin has, and just like we talked, we've had a great relationship. And when this race is over, I haven't got a driver out there that's driven for me or crew chief or anyone I can't walk up and talk to, and that's the way we want this to be. We're like family. You spend a lot of time with each other at the track, so you're going to have your spats and stuff, and just got to make it work.
All right, we have another question from the press box. Go ahead.
Yeah, a question for Mr. Richard Childress, Wolfgang Munzer from German Rennsport Press Agency. Mr. Richard, earlier it was announced that you employ for next year Mike Coughlin from Formula One as technical director. What do you think is the benefit to employ somebody coming from a totally different environment into the NASCAR sport?
He was in NASCAR with Michael Waltrip Racing for a year and a half and got their program really up, going off the ground. And he's going to be our technical director. He's going to bring a lot of design work, engineering work, and we're really proud to have him there. And couldn't be prouder for Eric Warren going out and putting together the people behind this race team that gives Gil and our crew chiefs what they really need to go out and win.
Okay, we'll come back downstairs. We'll take one from Jim, then Stan.
Jim Utter, Charlotte Observer, for Gil and maybe Richard. With everything that's taken place this season, and even as Kevin pointed out from earlier in the year, that some people thought that just because he was leaving, you guys would be overlooked. How has it been being able to keep the team as a unit together and focused on the goal, as you still have an opportunity, even if it's slim, to win a championship or finish as high as second in points?
It's funny you asked that question in our team meeting the day before the race. After we talked about the things that we may do or not do during the course of this race, I told the guys on the team that very thing, that this garage is tough. They look for any kind of flaw that you may have to drag you down because the competition's so close that they try to break your team down. And that's what I told these guys, that they have to be the toughest group that I've been around, just because of the simple reason of everybody's been expecting us to implode. Everybody's expected us to fail and not succeed. And with the rest of the garage trying to force some of that upon you, to not get distracted, whether it's the team, whether it's Kevin, whether it's anybody involved with our organization, it just shows the quality of these guys, because this is just a tough environment. And nobody knows how tough this environment is until you live it every day. But I can promise you, the guys that are next to us in the garage, if we find a chink in their armor, we're going to get on it. If it's turning a radio up like the 2-car tries to do to the 48 during the week to get under their skin, or if it's placing a fake camera on your pit box and trying to look like you're recording what the guy next to you is doing and make them work undercover, we're going to do it, because that's just what's going to happen in this garage area, the games that are played. And these guys are just tough.
I hear nothing. Next question, Stan.
Who knew this was going to be the press conference of the year?
All right, Stan Creekmore with RPMTonight.com for Richard Childress. Richard, as you look back your entire history, compare, if you will, what you've got coming up in the next week to another time when you were going into a race and it was either going to be a championship or a second-place finish.
Yeah, I mean, you just give it everything you got. We've been in that situation in trucks and Nationwide and Sprint Cup and the old Winston Cup, and you just go give it all you got. Do what got you where you're at, and that's race as hard as you can. It's great to, this is a long season. Everybody goes through a lot of stuff, and you start to tire down, but it's all about commitment. And your employees and sponsors and everybody makes a commitment to start the year out. And your commitment is to go give 100% every weekend, and that's what we try to do.
And Saturday, I'm going to stand beside him and lock his radio out.
Yeah, I don't need to be.
I'm turning his. We'll be fine on Sunday, but Saturday we're gonna we're gonna have the defibrillator really close, and we're gonna have his radio on easily to override.
Yeah, keep me quiet.
We'll take our next question from Lewis, then go back to Marty, and then back up front. Go ahead.
Lewis Frank of Speed Week. You guys known for quite a long time that you're going in different directions next year. But how, for each of you, for Kevin and for Richard, how important is it that you're going to finish strong this year, no matter what? Looking ahead to 2014, how important is this finish? What does this mean to you?
Well, I think as we talk, and as we've gone through the year, we've been successful. We've been able to win 4 points races, 2 non-points races, and so we've been successful on the racetrack. Obviously, you wish you could have raced. For myself, I wish I could have raced Martinsville. But I think as you move forward, you know, you look at, you have to take those life lessons. We've had a lot of life lessons together, and you know, it started in 1999. You know, so we've had life lessons, and you try to become a better person. And I think as I've been at RCR, you know, you learn from situations, whether it be just starting my job, or last week at Martinsville, or Dale's situation in 2001, or the situation we went through with Gil, and the things that we've done there. And so you always try to take those situations, and it's not really about, you want to make your race team better, but in the end you want to be a better person. And you know, you try to take those situations and apply them to what you're doing, and make yourself better. And I think we've been through a lot of those situations. He's taught me a lot about you know, being a dad, and
it's great. You know, you look at life. I'm sure y'all have heard that old song, "Don't blink, 100 years goes by fast." And you know, this is just another chapter in life that we're all living, and so it's really a tough sport. You got to be tough to hang in there and make it. And we've did a lot together. We've won a lot. We've been through some tough times, but at the end of the day, 100 years will go by awful fast.
And if you want to make some really good press, next week, lock Jimmie in a porta potty, and so this can really look good. It'll be a Cinderella story. It'll be a great thing to write about.
Yeah. All right, who's in charge?
Yeah.
Next question, Marty on the back row.
Well, it just changed a little bit. Marty Smith, what's that emotion I just saw? Where'd that come from?
Well, you know, I think as you go through time, you look at situations as life, not about racing, and you know, that's a good thing. Life is a good thing, and you want to be a good person.
Now on to what I was going to ask, and it's on a similar note. What is it about you guys in controversy? I think that some of the things you've faced over your lifespan together as teammates would completely disintegrate a lot of programs. But anytime that happens, whether it was you and Richard fighting, or you and Gil, you know, Gil moving on to a different job and coming back, all those things, you end up winning. How's that happen?
Great, ain't it?
What is it about your but what is it about your personality types that allows that to happen? Because it wouldn't work most places.
I always, and I know he might not want to hear this, but I always tell people it's a generation gap. So you have his generation, and then you have my generation, and then you have the guys that are stuck in between, and you have Gil, and you have Mike and Dylan, and even Austin. You know, now as we go through time, are kind of stuck in the middle. You know, it's not that, you know, I don't want to. Yeah, we want the same things. We want to be successful, and we want to win races, and I think we have a different approach of how you approach things, and how you talk about things, and how you move through things, and so these guys have done a good job of kind of being that glue, the glue that kind of holds it all together, even when he and I are mad at each other. So it's, you know, in the end, you want to respect each other, and these guys do a good job of explaining that, and really, you know, keeping it all together.
How do you describe the opponent you face next weekend?
Which one?
That 48.
Well, we're talking about locking them in a porta potty, so that should sum it up. You know, we've stumbled. I don't know what the average finish is for us in the last 9 weeks, but it hasn't been too bad. We've stumbled once at Loudon with a 20th place finish, and you know, we've won a couple races, and here we are, 34 points behind the 48. So, you know, those guys they're good at what they do, and they're good at every track, and obviously Chad and Rick do a good job of keeping the next good thing coming, but I feel like we've probably had the best chase that we've ever had, and you know, you go to Homestead 34 points behind, so it's they're just good.
Yeah, I'll add something to that. You know, those guys, you look back at the history, and some of you guys that know all the numbers about the sport, they just had Jimmie Johnson and those guys and Hendricks. They've just had phenomenal years, and our average finish, we've been right there for a championship 5 out of the last 10 or 11 years. And counting Clint's couple of runs and Kevin's 2 runs and then this run. And to be able to be there and be beat by that same team says something to how strong they really are. And we're going to go to Homestead and just try to win the race. And if we go down there and win the race, we've done everything we can if we lose.
Okay, we'll take our next question on the front row right here.
All right, thank you. It's Kevin. I'm Ryan O'Hara from PopularSpeed.com. My question for you is, it took you 7 starts to win your first Phoenix race in the old surface compared to 3 for the new surface. What was so difficult? Was there anything difficult for you on the old surface that is not showing as much on the new one?
Yeah.
Or was it based just on experience level?
Yeah, I think the experience probably plays into that more than anything. I think for us today, we found some good things that work for us in practice. With the grooves and the way that fit my driving style to get through turns 3 and 4 that are very similar to the things that we used to do with the old surface. So it just took me a while to adapt. And my first day here was, I think, 1995, and I wound up hitting the outside wall off of turn 4. Just trying to find that particular sweet spot that exists down there in turn 4 that still exists there with this new surface. So it's been a fun run at this particular track. Old surface, new surface. We've been very fortunate to have a lot of success on this track. Yep.
We'll take our next question in the back from Jenna.
Jennifer, AP. As it winds down to only 1 week to go, is there a sense of, I guess, dread that the relationship is ending, the working relationship? And what will you guys miss most about each other?
I think just the fact that probably just the fact that he challenges me. You talk about that generation gap, but when you make a mistake and he's not scared to just step up and say, this is the iron fist that's running this show. And I think you have to have somebody that's willing to put that iron fist down and say, this is the line, this is how it's going to be, and if you don't like it, get out. And that's really how Delaney and I ran our race teams. This is our way, and this is how we do it. And I think that came from him, was this is my way, and if you don't like it, there's the door. That's probably the part I'll miss.
Yeah, I think just we're going to see each other at the tracks a lot and everything, but we talk about a lot of other stuff too. We don't, like you said, the generation gap is bigger than what it was with Dale and myself, and it was. But at the end of the day, the one thing that we both do have is a word called respect, and we'll always have that.
Final questions for Kevin, Richard, or Gil? All right, we'll take one final question up front.
Hi, Gil Martin from Motor Racing. Kevin, you've been racing here for a long time, and I would like to know your personal feelings about this facility.
Yeah, I have been racing here a long time, and I remember when I showed up at the first driver meeting, and I used to pick on Rick Corelli. I guess that would have been 95, and he was the old guy at that particular time. So you had Corelli, and you had Mike Chase, and you had Hornaday. And I went to the truck race that I ran. Obviously, it's known for a lot of different reasons, but the truck race that I ran in Martinsville, I went to driver intros, and I'm like, all right, there's Joe Nemechek's kid, there's Ty. And the average age was like 20 years old, and I felt like I should be somebody's dad, let alone grandpa. So, it's been fun, and you go through those times of really respecting the sport, and those guys. Especially at this particular racetrack, I know Corelli has raced here and for a long time, and long before there was any of these grandstands sitting here and any of these buildings sitting here. And they used to run the open comp cars, and my dad would come over and work on the racetrack. And if you had a bad storm, you couldn't get to the track because the bridge was washed out. So those are a lot of things that a lot of people don't remember about this particular place. And this particular place was is very special, and to me, just for the fact that this was when you used to have the Copper Classic and the 300 lapper at the end of the year for the Southwest Tour cars. This was our Daytona 500. So to be able to come back here and win races and be successful, means a lot to me. And you always come here with a lot of fans and a lot of friends, so it's fun.
I just want to tell you I was here.
We're here before the interstate. Going to Riverside, I used to drive by here before the interstate.
All right, gentlemen, congratulations on your win here today. And Kevin, we'll see you at the Contenders press conference on Thursday.
Clean shirt.
No,